They say a picture is worth thousands of words. What a story do these images tell you? A story of a state protecting itself, or something far more ambitious, something ancient, and for many of us, is terrifying. As an Egyptian growing up, we always had a certain view of Israel. It was complicated, to say the least. There was a story that we were told for years, a story repeated so often by Western politicians and on international news that started to sound like a fact. The story of Israel, the oasis of democracy in the Middle East. We hear it all the time. They have elections, they have a Supreme Court. We, as Arabs, were meant to look at them and feel a sense of inadequacy. We were meant to see them as modern, enlightened ones, and us, well, as something else, to say the least. And for a while, maybe some of us accepted the world's view of us. A simple story, but a story at the end. A mirage in the desert. And for my generation, the illusion was shattered by the children of Gaza. My own view, which was already not so good, has become much worse. Because we watched and we saw the democracy that uses advanced weaponry on refugee camps. We saw the oasis that blocks food, water, and medicine, pushing millions to famine. We heard reports from the UN and the Human Rights Group. We heard the words of war crimes several times, and no one is doing anything. And as we watch, we start to listen more closely to their own leaders who are actually saying not the polished speeches for the foreign cameras, but what they say to their own people. This is where, for me, personally, everything has changed. I saw things that I has always dismissed as a conspiracy theory become terrifying reality. We hear politicians of the member of the Knesset screaming death to the Arabs. We saw the government minister call for Gaza to be erased, calling Palestinians human animals. Suddenly, the ugly whispers of the past has become loud shouts in the present. The old extreme ideas of a greater Israel, we start seeing it everywhere. The belief that the land does not end at a border, but stretches from the Nile River right here in Egypt to the Euphrates in Iraq. It wasn't just a fantasy from a history book. We saw it in their maps. Their politician held up in their relentless annexation of land, in their complete refusal to even consider Palestinian state that they have occupied. It is an ideology that does not see us as neighbors, but as an obstacle on their map. And it's not just awards. We have seen the settlements expand, creeping further and further into Palestinian territories. We have seen the walls goes up, dissecting communities, and we have heard the justification, often cloaked in the language of security, that we all know is just a lie. But increasingly, the mask is slipping off. We hear the statement not just from fringe figures, but from the very top. Benjamin Netanyahu himself has spoken about being on a spiritual mission to achieve greater Israel.
אנחנו כאן בשליחות של דורות. יש דורות של יהודים שחלמו שנגיע לכאן, ויש דורות של יהודים שיבואו אחרינו. אז אתה שואל אם אני מרגיש שאני בשליחות היסטורית ורוחנית, התשובה היא כן.
Think about those words for a minute. A spiritual mission. This isn't just about politics or land. It's framed as a divine imperative, a justification for action that much of the world see as illegal and unjust, and will lead to catastrophe. Some analysts suggest that the fervent expansionist drive is also fueled by interpretation within the Christian Zionism, a belief system with deep roots in the Anglo-American world. The ideology possessed of the establishment and expansion of Israel was necessary prerequisite for the second coming of Christ, leading to some to actively support policies contributing to this perceived biblical destiny. The interweaving of religious prophecy with political action create a powerful and potentially a dangerous dynamic. Faced with this reality, some of us feel desperate, need to understand. I have recently wanted to learn Hebrew, not to embrace their narrative, but to dissect it and to understand the language in which these things are justified and being formed, to hear their truths and their untruth and lies that I think about. The question that burns within me is this: how can people with such a profound history of suffering People who know very well the definition of prosecution, how can they in turn become the architects of such a suffering for another group of people? This is no longer just a political disagreement. It's about moral reckoning. It's about challenging a story that has been carefully constructed and relentlessly promoted. It's about looking beyond the mirage. We cannot remain to be silent. We must amplify the voices of those who are being silent. We must demand accountability for injustice. We are witnessing something horrific. Share this video and start the conversation. Educate yourself and others about the truth. However, uncomfortable is just the first step toward dismantling this mirage.